covered under this particular thing. So this is, I think it's a very, very good initiative. I think actually this definitely should generate a lot of awareness by continuously doing this. Definitely it will help us where we can understand the practices and try to implement it in our day-to-day operations. So before going further, let me talk briefly. Like, see, if you talk about the cyber world, maybe sometime back, some 30 years back or so, we started with the limited things like where we used to get an opportunity to send an email, a kind of things, very limited access to the internet and other things. So, but if you look at the present scenario, so everywhere, whether it is at office or home or railway station or airport, everywhere you have the access to the global internet. So, and you're able to access from the laptop or desktop or what is a mobile phones, okay, very easily accessible. And with the way the price and all have come down, so now at no cost, actually we are able to access the network and then try to carry out the various activities over the digital world. So now actually with all the advancements in the technology, there is a lot of convenience generated to the user, and within no time sitting at home we are able to carry out. But at same time, for the along with the kind of the convenience which we end user is getting, so the same technologies are used by the adversary to carry out some malicious kind of activities. Okay. So now in the physical world, we have the various laws and other things, best practices and other things we are following in order to establish the proper or disciplined society, so that we can streamline our activities and smoothly carry out the various activities. Okay. So that is a lot of institutional mechanisms and all are created, through that we are able to do it. So in the digital world, a lot of the initiatives are taken by the government, but because it is something like where there are no boundaries and there are no physical kind of things where you are able to see the people and no boundaries kind of thing, it is not that easy to implement this kind of thing. So one most very, very important thing is the responsibility of each and every citizen that plays a vital role in this particular case. So see, like a very simple example, I'll give it to you. See, we give very weak passwords, or sometimes actually we share the passwords with other people. So these things we all know, but still the people commit these kind of mistakes. At same time, people try to put their the personal details in the social media, share the details and other things like that. So see, that is the general awareness, and we need to be self-responsible and we need to be disciplined. Then only we can safeguard the digital the world, and actually we can smoothly carry out the various activities, the digital initiatives and all with the government is actually taking forward. So it is each one of our responsibility to do this kind of thing. So another example is like we are asked to patch our systems, but most of the time we don't do the patching on time and other things like that. So that is another weak. When the vulnerabilities are identified and the patches are given, it is our responsibility to patch our system so that we can protect from those vulnerabilities. So these kind of practices, once we each one of us follow, definitely we can have very safe and the secure digital transactions carried out, and we can have wonderful development happening to our country. So whatever the practices which as a the personal level which we need to follow, as an employee of an organization which we need to follow, or as a student or as a teacher, whatever it is, each one of us, if we try to follow, definitely we can secure our digital world and then carry out all our activities in a smoother manner. So without taking much time, this is what I wanted to tell. I think please listen to the 2-hour session, and then after that you follow these whatever guidelines and other things, best practices which we are trying to learn in this 2-hour session. And this program is actually organized, as Jagadish mentioned, is organized under Information Security Education and Awareness Project of Ministry of Electronics and IT. See, they have emphasized the need for carrying out this large-scale awareness, and they have initiated a national level program that is called ICA, Information Security Education and Awareness Program. And so CDAC Hyderabad is given the responsibility of coordinating this activity with all the support from ministry. So now the MIT and other all the attached organizations all are covered under this particular workshop today. And there are a lot of participating institutes, the members supporting across India. They are part of this particular ICA program, and they are involved in generating this awareness and other aspects. So this event is organized under that particular program. And so I congratulate Jagadish and other members who are taken up this particular responsibility from ministry and organizing this event. And CHA's Murthy is actually leading this particular activity from CDAC side. And hope this next 2-hour session is fruitful and you all enjoy the session. So with this, I would like to close and once again welcome all of you to this particular awareness program, which is conducted under the Jaagrootkta Diwas, which is an initiative from the Government of India. So thank you one and all. Hope you all have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful words as well as the things which are happening and the preventive measures someone should take care in the cyber world. Thank you so much, ma'am. And with your guidance, like we are almost covering in those areas only, ma'am. Like what are the various cyber crimes which are happening and what are the things one should take care while as part of their professional life as well as part of their personal life. Thank you so much, ma'am. And once again, we welcome all the participants for this session. So as we mentioned, like we are going to have two sessions. So the first session is on cyber crimes and safety measures, and the second session we are going to talk about a few cyber hygiene practices in our daily life. Someone should take care while we are using any of these electronic gadgets, as Director Madam was mentioned in her inaugural address. Okay, without any further delay, like we are moving on to the first session on the cyber crimes and safety measures. So this session is going to be handled by our Yes Dingra sir. He is from set and mighty like Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So he's going to talk a few aspects of the cyber crimes and what are the security measures one should take care as part of their professional as well as personal life. So in the meantime, like I request all the participants, if you have any queries, so kindly keep it in the chat area or Q&A area, so that by end of the each session, like we will try to address. So once again, I request all the participants who are attended this session, kindly use that chat area to keep your questions. After end of the session, like we are trying to address the session. We are not giving the mic permission to all the participants because number is huge. So we don't want any disturbances should happen during the session. So I request kindly use the chat area to keep any of your questions which is there in the bottom of the screen. You can make use of that. So I request Yash Dingra sir like to start the session on cyber crimes and safety measures. And the control is given it to you, sir. Kindly start the session.
Thank you, Jagdish ji. I'm just sharing my screen. If you can just confirm once if it is visible. Is it visible now, Jagdish ji?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I'll just start. So good morning and namaskar to all the participants who have joined. And today we are having this Cyber Jaagrootkta Diwas, as Jagdish ji and Madam already have spoken about it. So it's a good initiative which has been taken by the government, and I think this is something that needs to keep happening from time to time in order to make sure that at least as far as possible we can spread all this information, and most of us become cyber jagrook, or which means cyber aware in a sense. So I'll start with my sessions. I'll start with my session. It's on cyber crimes and safety measures. So we'll look at some of the common cyber crimes which are going on right now. There is some data which I have regarding this, and we'll also look at some safety measures towards the end of the presentation. So first, let us first understand what actually cybercrime is. And this is the definition of cybercrime as per the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal. So there is a website from the Ministry of Home Affairs, which is called cybercrime.gov.in. And you can actually go and report any kind of cyber crimes or other cyber related incidents to this website. So the definition says any unlawful act where a computer or communication device or computer network is used to commit or facilitate the commission of crime. So this basically means that if a computer resource is actually involved in committing the crime, or if actually a computer resource is the target. So in both these cases, the crime can be termed as a cyber crime. So why is it important for us to be Jaagrook, and why is the ministry holding these sessions for us? We need to understand what are the different risks which are involved, and what are the factors which we need to take care of. So first thing is online identities. Uh, Now, even if you, whether you like it or not, most of you have some kind of online identity. So even if you're not using Facebook or Instagram or any other social accounts, your Aadhaar card, or basically if you're trying to apply for a job, or if you're trying to apply for some kind of any kind of online usage, you are like there will be some kind of online identity which is actually created for you. And since most of you have joined online, so definitely you have some kind of online identity. There must be a Gmail account, definitely a government email account of some kind. So all these things are there, and we have multiple online accounts. We have multiple online identities, and we are obviously using them throughout the day. So, since our identities are online, it's possible for us, it's possible that these identities may be stolen. And we'll look at some of these cases in the next few slides where this has actually happened. So, we need to protect our online identities, just like we protect ourselves physically by putting locks on our doors. In a similar way, we need to protect our online identities as well. And in fact, in the real world, we have only one identity, but in the online world, we have multiple accounts, we have multiple places where our identities are created. So there are multiple points of attacks, and we need to protect all of them. The next one is online data. So all your personal data, your documents, your files, through your emails or through your Google Drives or through your government email accounts, they somewhere they are actually on, that data is online, and we need to protect it. The next one is online money. So whether you like it or you don't, if you are someone who likes to who prefers cash over spending via UPI or credit cards or debit cards, even in that case, your money that you have put inside your bank account, it is actually online. So either ways, your money, it's actually just sitting on some server. It is just a value which is put on some server, and the bank is actually maintaining it. So all these are the problems, and all these are actually have been created for our own usage. But since these multiple identities and these multiple data points, that's why it creates a lot of attack area as well. And obviously there are a lot of threats which are always around to actually utilize these. So moving on to the next slide. So why cybercrime? So why is cybercrime becoming such a huge phenomenon nowadays? And why is it that the number of cybercrime cases is becoming is going up over time? So we look at that. First of all, the first reason, which I think because cybercrime actually helps the attacker to conceal their identity. So if the attacker is coming through some other country, he may be sitting in any random country, and through some VPN or through some Tor network, they might connect, and they will execute some kind of attack in India onto your data or onto your identity. And it's really almost impossible to actually pinpoint the identity of the attacker. It's really, really difficult once they go through multiple routes like VPNs and Tor. So it's very easy for the attacker to conceal their identity. And obviously, if their identity is concealed, there is very low risk to the attacker. And the attacker does not need to go anywhere physically to rob a bank anymore. It's very easy to actually compromise some, smaller banks which are not spending enough or which have not paid attention enough onto their cyber security. So it becomes really easy for the attacker to compromise these kind of banks, and it's very easy to actually siphon out money from there. So we have seen several cases in the past few years. One of them was Cosmos Bank, which is an Indian cooperative bank, and it faced an attack, I think, in 2018. So it was a huge attack, and crores of rupees were actually siphoned out from the bank's network, and obviously it never came back. So And this is the second advantage to the attacker. Then the attacker can be located anywhere. We've already talked about this. And there is a lot of problem with international jurisdictions as well. So if the attacker is sitting in some country which does not cooperate with India in terms of transfer of convicts, so it's obviously very difficult for the government to actually get hold of these kind of criminals who are sitting in some random location outside India. Now moving on to the next slide, types of cybercrime. So this is quite an exhaustive list, and I have created some high-level headings, and under those there are the subheadings or the basic types of attacks which are there, cybercrimes which are there. So first one, the first heading is financial fraud. So this is actually a very broad heading in a sense, because most of the crimes are actually with the aim of have some kind of financial motive behind them, and the attacker wants to actually get hold of your money. That's why they are conducting the most of the frauds are being conducted. So there are debit card and credit card scams, as you might have heard about these. So it's possible for the criminals to actually clone your debit or credit cards, and then they can be used anywhere. And this has actually happened in the Cosmos Bank case itself. So the cyber criminals were actually able to clone a lot of debit cards of the bank, and then what they did was actually to swipe these debit cards in different countries at the same time and withdraw the cash from there. So there were, I think, 28 different 28 different debit cards of the bank which were cloned, and they were able to swipe these debit cards in different locations in different countries at the same time, and they were able to withdraw the cash from the ATMs. So that was one example of a pretty big debit card scams, but this can actually happen to common users as well. So when you actually go to the ATM machine and you put in your debit card, it's possible that the ATM machine may be compromised, and the attacker might have installed some kind of skimmer device over the inside the machine, and the skimmer device is actually used to capture the information from the magnetic strip of the debit card, and then they can actually clone the debit card successfully after that. So this is one example of a financial fraud. Then there are OTP scams. So they will basically due to this multi-factor authentication, which has been implemented almost everywhere now, especially for banking transactions. You will see that first of all, you need to enter the username and password, and after that, there is an OTP which is actually sent to your mobile number. So that is the only hurdle for the attacker. And what they do is they will actually initiate some kind of transaction from your bank account after getting your detail from some other method. And once they actually initiate the transaction, you will receive the OTP, and then they will give you a call, and try to trap you into revealing the OTP so that they can go through with the transaction. So these are the other kinds of frauds. Then there are some cases in which impersonation is involved. So or even in OTP scams, you can see that there is some kind of impersonation which will be there. So they will call you up and say that they are calling from your bank, and they have sent you an OTP for basically updating your details or for unblocking your account or something like that. So all these are different cases of impersonation where the attacker actually tries to fool you that into believing that they are some other person from some genuine company or organization, and then you are tricked into revealing your information. So impersonation, all these are also different types of impersonation. First one is phishing. So phishing basically means creating a fake website which actually impersonates the genuine website. So it looks like looks like the genuine complete looks exactly like the genuine website. And when you visit that website, you won't even get to know, apart from the address bar, that it's actually a fake website, and it will ask you for your login information like your usernames and passwords. So next one is smishing. Smishing basically is phishing, but with SMSs. So phishing is actually via websites where a fake website is created. But when all this happens through SMS messages, then the name to this process is given as smishing. So smishing basically means sending out a fake SMS to the victim, and in that fake SMS there will be some kind of link on which the user will click, and as soon as the user clicks on that link, they will be taken to some kind of fake website, or it's possible that it will be actually a link to an APK file or some kind of application which will be installed on the user's device, and then this fake application actually starts to take all the personal information of the user from the device. So next one is wishing. So wishing means phishing or faking or getting the credentials via voice. So these OTP scans that I mentioned in the previous point is they mostly involves wishing, which means voice phishing. So the attacker will actually call you and say that they are from the bank and they want this OTP, or they will say that your account has been blocked, and in order to retain your bank account and your bank balance, you need to give them some information. So this is the third kind. Then there are fake websites. So I've personally seen quite a few of them, and we receive reports of quite a few of these websites every month. So the website will actually look like a genuine website. They will have proper inventory. They will have a car shopping cart. They will have a payment gateway. It will look like a proper e-commerce website, and there will be lots of products. The only catch is that you'll see that most of the prices are really aggressive. And you'll see that for some article which is available for 2000 rupees on some other website, that same article will be available on a particular fake website for just 200 rupees. So you will be tricked into believing that it's a genuine website and it is offering huge discounts. And this has actually happened to some of my relatives and my friends in office as well. So they have been tricked into paying these websites, and although you might be paying just 200 or maybe just 500 rupees, but if you just look at the kind of scale that they have and the kind of traffic that they get every day, it's possible that they might be earning close to 50,000 rupees per day, which is not a small amount by any means. So we need to take care, and something that I have noticed on most of these websites is that they never have the cash on delivery option, because obviously it's a fake website and they will never actually send you the stuff. So once actually it happened with one of my relatives that there was a fake website, and they ordered on that website. They ordered some kind of dress for themselves, and it was a women's dress, and the price was like really low, and they thought that this is a genuine website. So what they did was, instead of sending the proper dress, which obviously looked pretty expensive, they sent some kind of a handkerchief or something to the person, and once they complained to their phone to their helpline or anything, they stopped responding after 1 or 2 days, and nothing happened after that. So this keeps happening. And then there is identity theft. So this is one of the major headings. And identity theft means that someone will actually steal your online identity, and they will create a fake identity which impersonates you. And then they can misuse this for various different purposes. So I'm pretty sure all of you have heard that fake social media accounts are created for people in order to bully them, or to harass them, or to demean them. All these things keep happening, and something that is pretty prevalent in teenagers. So they create fake social media accounts for their friends or for their classmates in order to trouble them. So this keeps happening, and it can actually have pretty serious repercussions as well. So we have seen like fake social media accounts being created for women, and obscene imagings being put over there in order to trouble them, or to even at times to extort money from them. So this is the other kind. And fake, we have also heard of cases where fake bank accounts have been created by using genuine identities of people by cloning their Aadhaar cards, or by cloning some other documents, and then by using different tricks they are able to create fake bank accounts which are actually utilized in further cyber security or cyber crime related cases. So, for example, if I want to conduct some kind of cyber fraud and I want to actually I'm actually conducting some kind of cyber fraud, and I want the victim to actually transfer the money to my account. So obviously, I'm not going to use my own genuine account for that purpose, because then it becomes really easy for the police to get hold of me. So what I'll do instead is I will create fake bank accounts in someone.
Sir, we are not able to hear you.
Kinds of identity thefts which can actually happen. And then there is extortion. So extortion means asking for money in return for some kind of damage which you have done to the network or to the systems in a particular organization. So most of you would have heard of this term called ransomware. So in ransomware, basically the cyber criminal actually encrypts all the data on the machine of the victim, and then they ask for some kind of ransom for giving the decryption key for that encryption. So that is one type of case. And if you've been following the news, you might have heard that a massive ransomware attack has happened in the previous few days on a government organization, and obviously it keeps happening almost every week or every 15 days. We hear of some kind of major ransom attack on some organization, and then they ask for millions of dollars in money. So the other type of extortion is data breaches, and data breaches basically means the attacker will trick you into revealing some kind of information, or they will use some kind of malware to actually infiltrate into your network and then actually take out all your data and upload it onto their server. So they will actually take all your confidential information, and after that they will put some kind of message in your network on some key machine, and it will say that we have access to all of your data, and if you don't want us to actually make your confidential data public, you need to pay us this much amount of money. So this is the other kind of extortion. Then obviously there are other cases of extortion where these different kinds of the attacker actually gets some kind of obscene images or some kind of they create some kind of obscene images for the victim, and then they start asking for money in return for not sharing all that material in public. So these are different kinds of extortions. Then there are other common tricks, like there are several job frauds which keep happening. So you might have heard of fake websites for different PSUs or public sector enterprises being created, and then there are they actually post fake job openings, and then they ask for some kind of money in order to be considered for the job opening. So this is since there obviously is a lot of unemployment in the country, and there are a lot of youth who are looking for some kind of job opportunities. So they apply for these job opportunities on these fake websites, not knowing that actually they are fake, and their money is actually going in the hands of the attacker. So these are the other kind of frauds. Then there is a KBC fraud. I've mentioned this because this is pretty common, and in fact, some of my own colleagues in office have actually received these kind of SMS messages, which actually say that they are coming from the KBC trust or from the KBC organization or from Sony or from something like that. So they say that you have been shortlisted for coming onto the Kaun Banega Crorepati show, and you need to pay some certain amount of money in order to be considered for the shortlisting for that. So this keeps happening, and earlier it used to come directly from Pakistani phone numbers, So the phone number would actually start from +92, and it was obviously a Pakistani number which was contacting a lot of victims in India. And they kept changing their identity from time to time. And since the Indian government does not have jurisdiction over there, so it's really impossible to actually catch hold of the criminal in this case. So next is cyber bullying, stalking, grooming. So this happens more in the case of women and children, which is pretty sad. And there are a lot of such cases where even pornography and sexually abusive material is involved, and women and children are actually basically abused by using these kind of means. So we need to be aware of this, and we need to take care. So I'll just go through the chat section once. I think there were one or two questions. Okay, so what is the basic difference between cyberbullying and cyber stalking? Are cyberbullying and cyber stalking both same as per content, technology, and intent basis? So these are different kinds of these are different terms which are given. So they don't have to be they are obviously not the same. There is some kind of there is some basic difference between them. But mostly, for example, in case of cyber stalking, it will be like, for example, there will be an attacker, and they will start stalking the victim online on all their social media, and they will start SMSing them constantly. So this is cyber stalking. They will keep changing their phone numbers and keep calling them again and again, and they'll share some kind of lewd messages, or they might actually force them to talk to them or something of that sort. So this is pretty common, and I'm pretty sure most of you would have heard of this, or uh, some of your relatives or friends would have faced this also. Cyberbullying basically means the attacker would actually try to scare the victim into doing some kind of action. So if there is enmity between two teenagers in their class, one of them might actually start sending the threatening emails or threatening phone calls. So this is cyberbullying in some sense, and they might send messages via social media. So that can be cyberbullying. Um, so how to recover hacked account? That's a very kind of off the topic, but you can actually, there are various means by which you can do it. So once your account is compromised, you can actually contact the company in which you have, or the social media company where you have created your account, and there are various means in which this can happen. This can actually be done. So all the different providers actually have different methods in which you can actually recover your hacked accounts. So are there any questions in Q&A also?
No, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So there is one more question: how to prevent from online identity as it is not in our hand? So we'll talk about some countermeasures. I will come to that in the next few slides, and we can look at them. Okay. So moving on to the next slide. Yeah, so this is actually a screenshot of the KBC fraud which keeps happening, and this somehow this keeps continuing for since so many years I've been seeing, and it still keeps continuing. So this is the kind of screenshot, और उसमें लिखा होगा बधाई हो केबीसी कौन बनेगा करोड़पति से आप जीते हैं रुपए 25 लाख की लॉटरी। तो आपको इसमें कुछ पैसे मांगे जाएंगे, they will ask for some kind of money as in to initiate this transaction, and that's where most people keep getting fooled. Now the next one is this income tax fraud, which also keeps going on and on. Uh, so you will get a message. This is an example of smishing. So you will get an SMS messages which will say that you have some kind of income tax refund which is pending, and you need to fill up some details on a particular website, and there will be a link to a fake website. So this is one of the emails which were sent out by this income tax fraudsters. And you can see it is just almost the same which in the previous one we have seen in the SMS we have seen. So there is a link to a fraudulent website. Once you go to that website, they will ask for some most of your confidential information like your Aadhaar cards, your PAN cards, your online banking credentials and everything. And once you have given those to them, they will create fake identities or they may create fake bank accounts in your name if possible. And then obviously they can, once they have all your online credentials, they will initiate a transaction and they will take money out of your account. So let's talk about some trends which have been going on. So this is the trend which is pretty worrying if you look at it. So in 2016, you can see there were around 12,300 cybercrime related cases which were reported. Then in 2 years, in 2018, this more than doubled. And then again in 2 years by 2020, this had again doubled. The figure had again doubled. So you can see that the numbers are actually doubling almost every 2 years. So we still don't have the data for 2022, but the trends are worrying, and obviously this trend I think is going to be followed even in 2022. And by the way, this information is openly available on National Crime Records Bureau on NCRB's website. So you can actually go there and check all this different information. You get even more insightful information over there. So this is another plot of the different motives for different cyber crimes. So you can see 60% of the cybercrime, the motives are actually cyber frauds. So in this particular data is skewed in the sense that this is actually from the reporting from the side of the law enforcement. So these are the actually 60% of the reports are actually received for financial frauds or some kind of frauds. For the other categories like for sexual exploitation and for extortion and for other categories, the numbers are lower. So it's possible that these kind of cyber crimes are happening more commonly, but because of some kind of social stigma, they are not actually reported. So mostly people are actually people don't have any issue reporting financial frauds. That's why it's possible that the number is so big that 60% is coming out to be frauds in itself. Now, the last data that we have available from NCRB is from 2020, and you can see that 4,000 cases of online bank frauds, 2,000 cases of ATM frauds. So we have already talked about this ATM fraud wherein the ATM card is cloned, and 1,000 around 1,200 credit and debit card frauds. Basically, this would mean they are getting hold of your credit card or debit card number, and then they are using it for some online transactions. Then around 1,100 OTP frauds, somewhere around 1,000 cases of cyber stalking, bullying of women and children, and more than 500 cases of spreading fake news on social media. So this number is obviously going to rise, and I expect that this number is going to become double by the end of this year. Now, let's look at some safety practices and how we can stay safe on the web. So this is some basic techniques and some basic things to keep in mind. So I'll just quickly go through these. And in order to find out what all information or what all confidential information you have shared about yourself, one of the tricks that I have seen and I've personally used is to actually use your name, search for your own name on Google by putting it in double quotes. So this will actually help you to identify all the personal information about you which is available online, which an attacker will be able to see just by searching for your name on Google or on Bing or some other search engine. So before the attacker actually does this, you should actually do it yourself and see what open source information is available about you. And if possible, try to remove this or some kind of, as far as possible, remove most of the information which is available publicly. So a lot of your social media profiles may actually be leaking a lot of your confidential information, and you can actually find that out by just Googling your own name. Okay, so someone is saying my voice is not audible. Can someone confirm?
No, it's audible, sir. I request, sir, you please check your audio settings on your device, either on your mobile or laptop or desktop, wherever you are joining. Please check the device settings. Thank you. Yes, sir. Please continue.
Right, right. Thank you, Jagdish. Yeah. So look for images which might be there. So you might have actually shared your Aadhaar cards or your PAN cards recklessly on some website, and the images might actually be available publicly. So just check for all the images which might be there, and evaluate the private information which should not be visible publicly. So just go through all the information just go through all the information that is available publicly, and as far as possible, try to change the settings of your social media accounts. Just go through them in order to make sure that none of your private information is visible publicly. Next is going through your social media profiles and checking all the posts that you might have shared in the past. You can go through all the photos and check if you have shared any kind of personal information like your Aadhaar cards or any of your passports or any kind of information. Just avoid if you've already shared any of these kind of information, just go through your account on social media and then delete these information as far as possible. Then go through your friend list. This is especially important for children. If your children, if you're teenagers, and just go through, make sure that they are practicing this, that they do not add unknown people on their social media profiles. And unless they know someone personally, they should not actually add them on their Facebook or Instagram profiles, because you may never know who the person on the other side is, and it could actually be someone who is trying to who has some kind of malicious motives, and they might try to trick your children into different kinds of issues. Then rechecking your security settings, go through your social media profiles and check your settings and make sure that none of your private information is shared publicly. The settings should be as strict as possible, and all your information should only stay within your friend group as far as possible. Now, next one is keeping your applications updated and keeping your operating systems updated. So we all keep hearing this from time to time, and but instead we've seen that in a lot of cybersecurity or cybercrime related incidents, when we actually visit for the analysis and investigation purpose, we've seen that a lot of people are still using Windows XP or Windows 7, which are both out of support, and they are not receiving any security updates from Microsoft. So it's really important to actually upgrade your machines to the latest versions as far as possible, and it's important to keep applying the software patches as and when they are available. Now, I think we are all guilty of this at some point of time in our lives. So we use pirated software. So this is like really, really bad. And if you use pirated software, it's really possible that the attacker might have actually uh, trojanize the software which they are giving you for free, and then they might actually start spying on your device remotely. So completely avoid pirated software as far as possible. Then maintaining updated antivirus on your machines, and buying devices from companies which provide regular software updates. So this is actually pertaining to Android, and there are a lot of manufacturers which do not give security updates from time to time, and the software of the phone becomes obsolete really quickly. So it's important that you keep getting these software patches and updates to make sure that there are no vulnerabilities on your device. And I would suggest that you buy devices from manufacturers who are promising security updates at least into 3 to 4 years, or whatever time you plan to actually keep using the phones. Then, if you do face some kind of cyber crimes, you should actually go and report it to the local cyber cell, or you can actually report it to cybercrime.gov.in, which is the website of the government for reporting cyber crimes. Then next few things to keep in mind: if you receive a call, never give out any information. So if you're receiving a call on your phone and they say that they're calling from some bank and they need some of your information in order to verify, you should never ever divulge any kind of any of your information to them, unless you have called up the helpline number yourself by looking it up on some genuine source or some reliable source. You should never give out any of your personal information over the phone. You should always reject it. Then be careful before handing out scans or copies of personal documents. So I've already talked about this. Before you share the scanned copy of your Aadhaar cards or of your PAN cards or if your driving license or any such document, it's really important to take care where you're sharing it, and you should not be reckless about this. Next, monitoring activities of children. So if you have children, especially teenagers, and if you have given your device to them, or if they have their own devices, then you should always monitor their activities through some means. You can actually use a lot of parental monitoring softwares which are available. These kind of facilities are even available in a lot of antiviruses nowadays, wherein you can monitor the child's activity and you can see what all websites the child is opening on the device, and you can actually see what all applications they are downloading, what all apps they are using more, and where they're spending most of their time on the device. So a lot of the devices actually have the provision for all this parental monitoring of their children. Now, if you receive emails, you should always check the source before clicking on any links or before taking any other actions. If you receive any links in such mails, you should always be careful not to click on them directly. Even if you have to open the website, you should right click on that link and find out the actual URL from that menu that opens up, and then actually open that particular URL in a different browser window yourself. So even after this, you have some kind of doubt about the genuineness of the website or the URL which you have received, you should actually search for that website on Google or on any other social or any other search engine, and then open that page yourself by typing the link in the address bar. So you should also keep in mind that every bit of data is important. Even your phone number can actually be used for various malicious practices. Uh, for example, your phone number actually is mostly your account name in a lot of websites. Like even your Paytm account uses your mobile number as your identity. So you should not be reckless about revealing your phone number to random people. Then avoid signing in on untrusted systems. So never use someone else's laptops or phones or any other device for signing into your account. Even if you have to, then you should use the incognito or private mode so that you are automatically signed out once you close the window. And I would suggest that after that, you should actually change your passwords also. Next, always scan your USB pen drives in case it comes with a malicious payload, and use multiple online identities for different purposes. So this is really important to keep yourself protected. What you can do is have multiple phone numbers, have multiple different email IDs for different purposes. For example, for your official purposes, you would obviously be having an official ID, but you should never actually use your official ID for any personal communication, and vice versa. Your personal email ID should never be used for your official communication also. Similar way, you can maintain multiple phone numbers for different purposes. For example, you can use one phone number for sharing it with different people, for your friends or for communication purposes, and you can keep a separate phone number only for sharing with your bank or for your online transactions like your Paytm wallets and other stuff. So that particular phone number you should never share with anyone, including your friends or even you should never save it on any of your family members' devices also. because most of the people have Truecaller and such applications installed on their devices. And if they save your phone number with your name, then obviously the purpose is defeated. So get a fresh phone number for your bank accounts, then link this particular phone number with your Aadhaar card, with your bank accounts, and do not share this phone number or with anybody. Next, using unique and random passwords of preferably of 10 or 12 characters, ideally should be 16 plus characters, and using uppercase, lowercase numbers, characters, special characters. We already know this, and changing all the passwords at least once a year. This is a good practice, and you should never have the same passwords for different accounts, especially for your main email accounts. Your password should be different in some way. And the next one is implementing two-factor authentication as far as possible. So if you're not aware of this, then Gmail and all the email providers also have two-factor authentication as an option. You can go and enable that. So whenever you try to sign in, it will send you an SMS before being able to log in into your account. So that is the end of the presentation. This is our email ID, incident@cert-in.org.in. And if you have any kind of cybersecurity incident that you face, you can actually report it to us. We don't handle cyber crime cases per se, but cybersecurity related cases. And if there is any issue, or if you need some kind of guidance, there is a 24-hour phone number also, and a helpline which we have, and you can get it from our website, and you can always contact us. So I'll just go through the questions and see if we have any.
Thank you, sir. I think the first question is like, what was the difference between phishing and fake website?
Okay, so phishing actually means impersonating some other website in order to get your passwords. So that word phishing has actually come from password and fishing with an F. So basically, when you go fishing, it means that you're trying to trap the fish by giving them some bait. So that's what happens with you when you face phishing, which means fishing with PH. So phishing means they will give you some kind of bait. They will show you some website which will be a lookalike of some other website. For example, they will make a fake page which resembles the income tax website, like I showed you, or they will make a fake Gmail page which will look exactly like Gmail, but it will be some other website or some other domain. And once you enter your login ID and password on to that website, the attacker will actually get your username and password from that website. So this is called phishing. Whereas a fake website is where the attacker is actually creating a full-fledged fake website, which may or may not resemble some other website. They may create their own logos, their own whatever, and they'll actually put up stuff on that website. For example, they'll put up an entire inventory of clothes. They might put inventory of electronics like phones or devices over there, which obviously they will take from somewhere, and they will have their own logo. It will look like a genuine website, which is not resembling any website that you have seen before. But on this particular website, once you go and once you transact, the money will actually go to the attacker. So these are fake websites, and phishing websites are basically to get hold of your login ID and password or your credentials. That is the basic difference between fake websites and between phishing websites.
All right, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. And how to recover from a ransomware attack?
So recovering from a ransomware attack is like really difficult, because once you face the attack, your data is encrypted. And even if you pay the attacker, there is no guarantee that the attacker is actually going to give you the decryption key in order to get hold of your data again. It's the only way to actually prevent or to recover from a ransomware attack is to actually keep periodic backups. So whatever information you have on your device, just keep backing it up from time to time, like once a month or maybe once in 2 months. Just make a schedule, and you should keep some kind of external hard drive or some other media where you are actually backing up all your information from time to time. So even if you face a ransomware attack, it's very easy for you to just rebuild your machine by formatting it, and then you can you're good to go once again.
All right, sir. Thank you. And I think the next question is, how do we ensure that an ATM machine is not compromised? The debit card is used in the ATM machine.
Right. So it's almost impossible or really difficult to tell if an ATM machine has actually there is some kind of skimmer installed in it. The best way is actually to follow my other advice, wherein I said use multiple online identities for different purposes. So I talked about multiple online emails, multiple phone numbers, but ideally you should also maintain multiple bank accounts. So there should be one bank account where you actually keep most of your corpus in, and this is probably where you get your salary and you maintain most of your bank balance over in that account. And this particular this particular bank account should never actually be shared with anybody. So don't share the bank account details with anybody. And this particular bank account, you should never link with UPI or with any debit card or any credit card or any other place. You should just maintain one checkbook uh, with which you can actually use to actually send money into another bank account every month, for example. You can also create scheduled transactions in the bank. So, for example, if you know that your expenses are 20 to 30,000 per month, you can make a scheduled transfer of 30,000 rupees every month from your main bank account into another bank account which you are using for spending. So your secondary bank account will only have 20 to 30,000 rupees balance at one time, or whatever your spending is. And even if that particular bank account is compromised, you don't lose all your money. So that is the best way to go about it, by maintaining different bank accounts, one for incoming of your money and one only for outgoing. So wherein you can actually link all your UPI, your debit cards, and all other internet banking and all other transaction modes with your secondary bank account, because even if it is compromised, you don't tend to lose much of your money. So that is the best way to go about it.
Okay, sir. And is there any way to find out whether the Aadhaar card and the PAN card is used?
So actually, Aadhaar card, if it is used for any kind of transaction or any kind of for authentication purposes, you might have seen that you receive an email if you've registered an email with Aadhaar. If you've not, you should go and definitely register an email ID with your Aadhaar card and a phone number as well. So whenever it is utilized by someone, you will get an email which says that your Aadhaar has been used for authentication purposes. So Aadhaar card can be tracked, but if someone is using your PAN card in some way, I don't think it's possible to actually track that. So ideally, you should never share these details with anybody unless you know that the person or organization is genuine. And even in that case, I would suggest that as far as possible, even for your identity purposes, avoid your Aadhaar card or your PAN card. You can use some of your other identity cards like your election IDs or your driving license, because they don't carry much of your information. So you can actually share those as identity or address proofs instead of your Aadhaar and PAN cards.
All right, sir. Thank you. And we're gonna check the latest regular cyber attacks in which website?
So there is this website, InfoSec Awareness, which is maintained by MIT, CDAC, and all the other organizations. So you can just go there, and there is a cybersecurity month also, which is celebrated every year, and all the information I've seen is mostly kept updated on that particular website. But if you want to know of all the common news or common cyber crime which are going on, the best way is to just follow the news. You can just go to news.google.com and search for cybercrime, and you'll get a lot of news over there. So I think that's a good way to keep following.
Okay, sir. And I think, of course, like Kishore, yes, Chandari, like please discuss SOC as a solution to protect IT infrastructure. Sir, it is basically an awareness session. So maybe we can see like what could be done in the further coming sessions, sir.
Right, right. So as SOC basically maintaining is comes on a different topic. So this is mostly about awareness. So we'll talk about that in some other session, maybe some other time.
Yes, sir.
And I can see there is another one where I can check for latest. Okay, I think we took this already. So
Yes.
sometimes SMS is coming from 6-digit number. Yes, so these are SMS short codes which are there, and most of your SMSs would be coming from such numbers. But just make sure that if there is some kind of link in that SMS, you should not click, because in most cases, RBI or government or any other genuine organization will never send you SMSs which contain link, especially shortened URLs like bit.ly or something like that in SMSs. If at all, they will be sharing some genuine websites. So you should always know that how to identify genuine government websites. So in most cases, you will see that the website would either be .gov.in or .nic.in. So you should be able to identify genuine government websites like this. It should not be anything else. It should be .gov.in and .nic.in. That's how you identify it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your wonderful and enlightening session. And it was came out very well. I think most of the questions were also answered, which is there in the chart area. And once again, we thank you, sir, for your time as well as enlightening us on these cyber crimes and what are the safety measures someone should take care at workplace as well as individual life. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Jagdishji. Thank you, CDAC team, for
Thank
inviting
you.
me for this. And thank
Yes.
you to all the participants for attending.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir, ma'am, like, as we are told, like this Cyber Jaagrootkta Diwas, like this is only a starting, wherein like every month, first week of Wednesday, we are going to organize this awareness session for one and a half hour, 1.5 hours time. So this is only a beginning. So like we will be having different aspects. We are going to cover up different aspects and different topics in further coming sessions. So just this is only a beginning. So we request you all join for those sessions, and you can enlighten yourself on various cyber crimes, various latest cyber crimes which are happening, and also like what are these preventive measures someone should take care when we are using any of these electronic gadgets kind of thing. Okay. With this, like we will be moving on to the next session. Yes, we are going to share that YouTube link. Yeah, we are going to share it with you, ma'am, administrator. And with that, like as I told you, like if you have any questions, kindly keep it in the chat area, so that by the end of the session, we will take up those questions, right? So as I told you, like this is only a beginning. So in further sessions, we are going to discuss on various aspects which are related to the cyber security, cyber security related things. And like in this first session, what we thought, like we will introduce like what are the cyber crimes kind of thing, and what are the preventive measures someone should take care. So at the same time, like sir has already explained you so many things, like what are the things has to be taken care at various levels. So we are going to discuss a few more aspects related to the cyber hygiene in daily life, right? So as part of this session, we are going to cover these aspects. What is cyber hygiene, and what are the benefits and common cyber hygiene, and mostly like we all use browser for anything and everything. So like what are the some preventive measures someone should take care while using any of the browser, and some of the plugins and whatever it is there. So those aspects we are going to discuss, and we're also going to discuss about UPI security, like unified payment interface. Like when we are doing these transactions, because like in the earlier session, it was mentioned to you very clearly, like 60% of the crimes are related to the finance, frauds. More or less like it. There are like financial frauds. So like when we are using these things, of course, like many of the people are aware. Many of the people are aware, but like what are the other things like one should take care? Those aspects also we are going to discuss in this session. Like these are the a few cybersecurity facts, happening across the world. 90% of every 100 data breaches are caused by the human error, right? So like what are the data breaches or what are the crimes which you are seeing? Like it is all because of a small human error. We also will see like what are those small human errors, right? So only 5% of the company folders are properly protected, and one of five internet users have experiencing a virus attack, right? So every user out of five users are somewhere or other they're facing this kind of attack, and 10% of the breaches are from the like spying kind of thing. And if you want to find out like whether the data breach or happened or something has happened, the minimum it takes of 207 days to identify the data breach kind of thing. And more, there are more than 3.5 lakh viruses got created every year, sorry, every day. And the cyber crime is gone up 600% because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Like if you compare it to the last US 2021 kind of thing, so where we have envisaged like cyber crime has gone up like anything across the world. So more than 600% cyber crime has increased, especially when it comes to the India. There is more than 165% of cyber crimes are increased comparatively previous years kind of thing. The cyber crime is not targeted only the illiterates, but it is also targeted 48% of the IT professionals are also facing somewhere or other this kind of attacks in the form of social engineering, social engineering. So like what do you mean by social engineering? Like some of the things like we have discussed in the earlier session, like phishing, wishing, smishing kind of thing. Not only that, there are so many other aspects. Like at this point of time, we are not going into those kind of things. And it is not only this cybercrime is not only limited to our devices. It is also spread across the IoT, Internet of Things devices, experiencing 5,200 attacks kind of thing on an average kind of thing. So these are some of these cyber security facts which we can see. So basically keeping these things in mind, like we are organizing these kind of cyber awareness sessions to various stakeholders. So what is cyber hygiene? Is nothing but good habits. It is just an example like we are all facing this COVID issue. Like we are using the sanitizing our hands regularly, and we are also keeping our mask in physical thing. In the cyber space also. We need to follow some of these practices, like where good habits, like train yourself to form good habits around this cyberspace ahead of the cyber threats and online security issues, like some of the things like which you have heard about. Cyber hygiene aims to maintain the hardware as well as software basic health and security. Like what are the things we are talking about, any of the hardware devices or any of the software devices, like you will be heard about these words called vulnerability and all those things. So unless and until if you pass them regularly, or if you update them on regular basis, regular intervals, whenever you are getting some kind of alert, some kind of notification that like your software update is available kind of thing, we have to update those things so that we can take care of the software things. At the same time, like when it comes to the hardware kind of thing, is there any spying hardware tools were got installed kind of thing somewhere in sometimes we have to check those things regularly. And cyber hygiene helps to keep our data safe and secure. So data whether it could be your PI, like personally identifiable information, as well as when we are working for an organization, that data also has to be secured carefully along with our personal information. Help prevent cyber crimes for causing the security breaches, for stealing personal information. I think in the every earlier session, like it was discussed some of the aspects. Like what are the benefits, like when we follow these cyber hygiene practices? So we can safeguard our financials. We can safeguard our financial loss kind of thing. Like it won't happen if you follow some of these practices. And the government fines and operational downtime. If something go, if some by some reason the website was down, so how quickly we can make it up. So those kind of things also it will come into the picture. And organizational upheaval level, when it comes to these things, if some breach has happened or something has gone out of our hand, so the organization reputation is comes into the picture. When it comes to the individual also, it is the same. When your pictures are misused, like how do we get it back? So it is always very very difficult. Let me give you a small example. It was happened to one of the professor 2 days back. He is a professor at one of the college. It has happened to him. So he has some open lands where someone is approached him to establish some kind of towers, towers in his land. So they're like, he said like, no, he's not interested. Later, but they keep on, they keep on calling. One time male and other time female kind of thing. So somewhere like he said like, he will see like what is the thing. So he asked those people to come to the physically to that location to verify like whether they can set up these towers kind of thing. They said like, we went through those your site and we have verified everything, and we are very happy with that kind of infrastructure which you are having. We can easily establish kind of thing and all such kind of things they have mentioned. The cyber fraudsters have mentioned. So finally he said like he's not interested. Then immediately what they have done, so what are the image is there, like what was the profile picture is there, so they have started using his profile picture as part of their profile picture. So they have taken the profile picture of that person, and by using that profile picture, so they are contacting other people, right? So just imagine, like he is, he is one of the professor in reputed college, right? So that is what happens if you are not able to take some preventive measures or say, follow some of these cyber hygiene practices. There is always possibility that people can misuse those things. Otherwise, like your photographs or your details are available in somewhere else, so people can misuse those things and started fake profiles kind of thing on your behalf. So these are all some of these possible chances. It is not that it will happen to everyone. But when we are talking to the anonymous user, in the previous example, if we are talking to the anonymous user, so we have to see like where to cut and why should we entertain them for furthermore. If we cut the call there itself, might not have been stopped there, but he's continued the discussion and they have started misusing those things. Now he don't know like how to do, what to do. So he went there and he made a complaint and all the things. By the time like someone will come and react, act on that, so like what are the damage has to happen, that damage will happen. So that's the kind of thing which can happen. In this cyber world, if you are written something, we have to check it very, very clearly. So by the time like you realize you want to delete something, we don't know how many people are seen and for how many people it was, for how many people it was, spread across. Right? In the physical world, in the blackboard, if you write something and we can rub it, but in the cyber world, it is not the case. So we have to be very, very careful when you are writing something, when you are publicizing something, and when we are publishing something. The moment you realize and delete that thing, we don't know like how many people it has been reached. So that is how that reputational damages kind of thing it happens. And protects the customer data, damage to the organizational reputation. We all evident like in the newspapers we are seeing like this data breach, that data breach kind of thing. MACD data breach was happened, Air India data was compromised, and all such kind of things. So once if that kind of damage happens, it is always very difficult to get back or get back the momentum of the earlier thing. And to protect customer data, we are all dealing with these various government schemes and various government people, and it is our prime responsibility to safeguard that data, and identifying the rogue softwares. As we told, like if there are any rogue software, like any vulnerabilities in the software, those things we have to identify and we have to update or patch up such kind of things. Handle the existing and emerging threats. If you have good infrastructure at individual level, at organizational level, like I mean to say, like if you have good antivirus, which is if you are updating that regular, if you are updating your software, if you are updating your antivirus on regular basis, it will help us to find out like if something is happening kind of thing. So earlier, like we were talking about phishing, it is a HTTPS site and kind of thing. You just, instead of clicking that link, just copy and paste that link in the browser. Then you will identify, then you will come to know whether that link is going to their right website or not, right? So when you are copy pasting that link in the browser level, then you will come to know whether that for example, you have received a message from SBI asking to update your KYC details kind of thing. So you have received a link. instead of clicking that link, just copy and paste that link in the browser. Then you will come to know whether that link is going towards the sbi.co.in, or what are the right website is it, whether it is going to that website or not. So if not, if at all, if you are clicking that link and it is almost looks like that website, and you will be providing the data, and those people will start misusing that data. So unless and until if you have that kind of good antivirus on your system, it is always difficult to find out what kind of things which are happening on our system as well as on our devices. And predicting the threats can be challenging, and preparing and preventing. Of course, like we have our set under Mighty, like where they will be predicting these are the kind of things which we are emphasizing in a couple of way in coming days. So those things, if you follow, we can safeguard our things. And we also have another website called Cyber Swachhata Kendra. So everywhere, like they're trying to provide this updated information to safeguard ourselves from any of these kind of things like which are happening. So we can follow this website, and we can try to always enhance our knowledge and find out like what are the kind of things which are happening. And locate unmanaged assets. If you have if you follow these things, like whether the devices are used or not, if it is using, like what was the healthy level kind of thing, and if it is not used also, we'll come to know like why the device is not used. And if at all, if you want to make it functional, and you will be taking the organization will take steps to make it up and bring it to the usability. And what are the common cyber hygiene problems which we see? Security data breaches. It could happen in the form of hackers, phishing, malware, and viruses, right? And data loss. It is hard drives and online cloud storage which are not backed up, that can be vulnerable, right? If whenever you are using any of these hard disk kind of thing, so we have to take that backup regularly and keep it keep it in a secured manner. And if it is important data and personal data especially, so whenever we are storing our data in a cloud storage kind of thing, so it is our prime responsibility to safeguard the data. If it is required, you can encrypt the data, and you can encrypt and save the data. So it is that tools are also available in the cloud storage. And it is always good that like you can password protect that data, like what are the data you are keeping, by using the strong password. You can always storage the data in the cloud space by using strong passwords, which we can safeguard the things from that hacking, corruption, or software corruption, I mean, or any other issues which could result in losing data kind of thing. And out of data software, so this is very very careful, this is very very important aspect, whether it could be your personal devices or your mobile laptop or whatever it is, whichever the device we are using, it is ensure that like you have to update your software on regular intervals. And older antivirus, and if the antivirus is expiry, it is minimum, the thing is like we have to get it updated, or it should be renewed, so that we can safeguard our devices securely, which will help you will be less effective at protecting you against the latest cyber threats. If it is an older antivirus, that kind of thing, so you can just forget that software. It won't help you. It won't detect any new cyber threats or viruses, trojans, malware, if anything has happened. So it is very difficult to find out such kind of things. So we have to ensure that like that should be updated on regular intervals. So we all know that data is never sleep. The data is always travel, right? Whether you take any of the instant messaging platform or any of the mailing, whatever it is. So the data always travel. So this is the kind of thing which we can see in a given minute of time. So this much of amount is traveling across the world, across the internet. So as I told you, like these are the knowingly or unknowingly human negligence errors that can cause the threat to any workspace, whether it could be an individual or it could be an organization kind of thing. So using common password for all. Anyone are using the common password for all your accounts, like your personal email ID, online banking accounts, and your professional email ID. Are we using the same password, or are we using different passwords? Please type it in the chat area. Are we using the common password or are we using the different passwords? Please type in the chat area. I just wanted to see some responses. Different passwords, common, different, okay, certain, different passwords, excellent, excellent, different passwords, yeah, few more responses, same, okay, okay, all right, thank you sir and ma'am for your response, thank you so much. So whoever is maintaining the same password, so we request you, please have different passwords for different accounts. Please do have different passwords for different accounts. You know, like how do we set the password and all the things in the earlier session it was covered. And leaving your device unlocked, strong password with alpha, numeric and number. Yes, sir. You know, that is one thing, like, you know, all the things like capital letter, small letter, numeric, special characters and all the things. By setting that, like, you can keep a strong password. And for most of the things, now the two-factor authentication is there. Most of the things, whether it could be uh, social networking platforms or online banking platforms, any email kind of thing, or, you know, two-factor authentication is available. So please do enable the two-factor authentication for all your email accounts as well as your financial accounts, especially for your you know, social networking websites also. If you go to the privacy thing, you can just see in the social networking website, you can enable the two-factor authentication. In online banking, you can go to the settings and you can enable your two-factor authentication. And other private email IDs kind of thing, like where you can always go to the settings and you can just see that. So please do maintain different passwords for different accounts. And the next question is, how do we maintain the different accounts? How do we remember that? So use passphrase, right? Use passphrase. Use passphrase to kept a different password for different accounts. What do you mean by passphrase, right? For example, you know, I like traveling by metro, right? I like traveling by metro. So that sentence can be converted as a passphrase. I, small I, you can keep it as a capital I. You know, like if it is a small L, you can just, you know, make it as a capital L. And wherever A is there, you can make it as, you know, at the rate. And wherever S is there, you can use either a dollar symbol or some other symbols kind of thing. Like that, you can set that. For more information, I will give you some resources where you can visit that. And leaving your device unlocked. You know, whenever you are at workspace, you know how you securely lock your device, lock your mobile phone. If you are not using the mobile phone for next 10-15 seconds, immediately it will get locked because you done that setting. In the similar way, please do have, you know, a device locking system for your device whenever you are going out for break, for a small break or a big break or whatever it is. So ensure that your device is locked. And ignoring the OS and operating system and software updates, as we keep on discussing, and click on the links from unknown sources. Please never ever do this. Okay, clicking on the links from unknown sources. If you receive some kind of link, either it could be in a social media platform, or it could be instant messaging platform, or it could be on your email, email kind of thing. So never ever click on, unknown links, unknown links which are came from anonymous people kind of thing. And downloading files without scanning, you know, you can download that file, and before you open that file, ensure that that file is, you know, ensure that the file is scanned properly. Before you open that file, ensure that file is scanned properly. And connecting to the unsafe devices to a to a office network kind of thing. Of course, like because of the COVID, like, many of the people are brought in this boy, like bring your own device kind of thing. Before you connect the device, ensure that that should be checked by your CISO or NISO, whoever it is there in your organization. And after that, it connect. Of course, like in many organization, they won't allow to, you know, connect that systems. But if at all, if you are bringing your own devices and want to connect, so that also they won't allow. But if at all, if by any chance, like if it all connecting, ensure that that should be checked properly before you connect it. And using public Wi-Fi without a VPN, right? You can use the public Wi-Fi for browsing purposes. Never ever do any financial transactions on any public or open Wi-Fi. Okay, nowadays all these public Wi-Fi, open Wi-Fi's are available everywhere, right? So use it only for browsing purposes. Never ever do any financial transactions kind of thing. There are always people, who look for, who will come and who will do the transaction. to get their credentials kind of thing. So please, follow those advice. Carelessly handling the devices with sensitive data. If at all, if your device is carrying sensitive data, ensure that that should be carried properly. And downloading unauthorized softwares, this we will see regularly on in many things. And if you for your purpose, for our immediate purpose, if at all, if you are downloading that software and if you are using, so once the purpose is over, and before you downloading that any of the third party softwares, ensure that they are providing regular updates kind of thing. If at all, if they're not providing any regular updates kind of thing, so try to avoid downloading such kind of softwares. Okay, please check who is the developer of that software before you download, and when was the latest version is available, and other things you can check it before you download. Otherwise, if it is older version kind of thing, try to avoid downloading such kind of software, and leaving sticky notes with the passwords kind of thing, right? Whenever you are doing any passwords, try to keep it in don't paste it in locations where publicly people are seeing such kind of things. Okay, so these are the few human negligence error which happens or which lead to threat to any workplace or any individual kind of thing. Sir, ma'am, I have seen some of the questions. I will try to respond once the session is come to end. Can anyone guess which is the third largest economy? Can anyone guess which is the third largest economy in the world? Please type your answer in the chat area. Please, okay, India, very good. Digital, okay, you are very near, sir. You can try more. Cyberspace, oh, okay, very good. Yeah, any other responses? Cyber fraud, right? Germany, cyber crime. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Maybe Japan. Okay. Good, 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 good. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am and sir, for your response. So the third largest economy is, we all know US, China, and other thing. Now the question mark is what is the third largest economy? So the third largest economy is nothing but the cyber crime. Now some of you have guessed it properly, cyber crime and all the things. Thank you for your wonderful and excellent, participation as well as response. Cyber crime, right? So this is a global cyber crime damages, across the world. So that's the kind of thing. And this 119 190 190 million dollars in a given second of kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing which has happened. So for example, now we have spent more than correct, so more than 30 minutes of time. We cannot emphasize how much the damage has happened, right? To see that how many cyber crimes are happening kind of thing in a given minute of second. You can just see this live threat map in a given, oh, sorry. Yeah, so this is a live cyber threat map which is available publicly. You can just see that in a given from this morning onwards, how many cyber attacks are happened across the world. So these are the kind of things which are happening at this point of time, at this juncture. So these are the kind of attacks which are happening. So the red color lines are malware attacks which are happening across the world, and the blue color indicates that it is a phishing attack, and the yellow color it always depicts that exploitation. Exploitation is nothing but a misusing of credentials kind of thing. Phishing attacks, we all know, people try to get their username, password, and all important data. And malware attacks, which can happen either in individual or organization kind of thing. So these are the kind of things which are happening at a given minute of time. So you can just view that for more information, so that you will come to know various things which are happening in the cyber world, right? Let's get into the presentation. Right, so these are the things which are related to some of the cyber crimes and the damage which is happening across the world. And we also seen some of the cyber hygiene practices, and what are the human negligence errors kind of thing which are happening. So as we told you, for everything, and everything, if you want to browse something, if you want to search something in the internet, in the cyberspace, we need to have this browser. So the browser has to be securely managed. How do we manage that? Like we will just see that, like what are the things. So the browser is used to access the information and the resources on the World Wide Web. If you want to access some kind of information, so you need to have some kind of software, like which is a browser, to get that information, or you to communicate. To if you want to communicate something with the internet, you need to have this kind of browser. The main purpose of the browser is to bring the information resources to the user. The information resources is identified by the uniform resource identifier and locator. So we all know that URL, like URL, like uniform resource locator, like what are the domain name which you are typing, and what are the different parts are there in the domain name which are called uniform resource identifier kind of thing. And web browsers are used not only on the personal computers, it is also used on the laptops, but are also used in the mobile phones to access the information. As I told, if someone wanted to interact or someone wanted to access some kind of information from the internet, so the browser is only the way where we can interact and where we can get some kind of information. So these are the some popular browsers which we all know, like which most of the people are using more than 1-2 browsers as part of your personal professional life because of various reasons. So why do we secure your browser? So click on the links without considering the risk of their actions, as we are as we are discussing. So any link which comes to you, so we have to consider that, like whether, like what was the risk kind of thing. So instead of, as I told you in the earlier discussion also, so never ever click any link, right? So try to copy that link and paste it in the browser. Then you will come to know like whether it is leading to the right website or not. So another thing, so for example, you received some kind of mail. In that mail, there is a link, like where those people are asked you to click on the link to provide some XYZ information. Okay, so instead of clicking or instead of pasting that link, you just hover your mouse over that link. Just take your cursor, to that line and just hover it. Then in the status bar, you will be able to see whether that link is taking to this XYZ website or not, proper website or not. So because the mail content is there, so from the mail content you can understand like whether the mail has came from a right person or not. If you believe like it is came from a right person, the next step is like instead of clicking, you should copy paste. Otherwise, you just hover your mouse onto that link and just see like whether is it going to right URL or not, and lead you to unexpected site, right? Sometimes it may take you to the unexpected sites, wherein it happens because of various reasons. And as I told you, like if you don't have any good antivirus on your respective system, there is always chances that it may not detect whether it is a legitimate URL or legitimate website or not. If it is not legitimate website, there are always chances that it may lead to some other website where it looks like, as we discussed, like it is a phishing website, like wherein you will be providing the data without identifying like whether it is a correct website, legitimate website or not. So many browsers to provide increased functionality at the cost of decreased security, right? There are some browsers like but nowadays, like one good thing is like almost all browsers are providing updations and very secured things, and they're also providing various other security features in the form of plugins and add-ons kind of thing, right? So third-party software may not have a mechanism for receiving the security updates on a regular basis. So this is very, very important. So as we discussed earlier also, the third-party softwares, like which of the third-party softwares you are downloading or using, so ensure that like you should have a regular updates. Otherwise, there is always risk involved in it, and especially whenever you are downloading any add-ons into your browser, see that like those things are uh, suggested by the browser or not. All right, if for example, if you want to download that some kind of add-on, you have to ensure that that is suggested by that particular XYZ browser, right? If it is suggested by the browser, you can install and you can make use of that. So many websites require that users enable certain features or install more softwares and putting in computer in additional this kind of thing, right? So many users are unwilling to enable or disable functionalities as required to secure their web browsers, right? There are some things like without our knowledge, those things also will be getting downloaded, and wherein you don't have any control, and it will spying on your system without your knowledge. So there is always chances that kind of information always goes out of our hand. So that is only the reason, like these are the few points, like why do we secure your browser. These are the some cyber security threats and how to prevent them. So sometimes it redirects and the pop-ups, add-ons kind of thing. When you are browsing any websites kind of thing, if pop-ups are not disabled, it is always chances that like you will be getting various pop-ups. And it is almost looks like that since most of them are phishing websites kind of thing, so it may lead to some of the malicious websites, or some of the phishing websites. So such kind of dangers are always involved. So to prevent that, like you can have the content filtering solutions that can add to another layer of defense. So these content filtering softwares, if it is an organization, they will be doing it at their server level. And if it is an individual or a mobile device kind of thing, and if you are using any good antivirus, there you have these content filtering solutions where you can enable those things, and you can make use of those things to safeguard your browser. So browser extensions and plugins are made and properly designed to introduce vulnerabilities into the site. There are plugins that deliberately created with malicious intent. All right. So there are plugins, as I told you. If that plugin or add-on is not recommended by the browser, so never ever go for it. And if at all, if you are doing that, there are always chances that most of the things are created with malicious intent. So there are always chances. So create a policy that restricts the users from installing the plugins and extensions. So any organization, nowadays most of the organizations are having their own cybersecurity policy. So within their organization, so where they will be suggesting like not to install kind of thing. We have to follow their notifications, and whenever they say something like you have to do these XYZ things on your respective system, so we have to try to follow those things so that we can avoid all these things. And save passwords and more info. So most of the time, and most of the people to save time kind of thing. So most of the time, like we save our passwords on the web browser, so it is not at all suggestible. And if at all, if by any chance, as I told you, if there's some plugin is there with malicious intent, so it always responsibility is to carry out that information to the fraudsters systems kind of thing, right? So you need to users to remember and organize passwords. An organization should implement the password management software with appropriate security and access controls. And as we told you, like this multi-factor authentication, which is very, very important, which is provided by many of the things, you can enable such kind of things, right? So when we are adding any of these plugins, Adobe Flash and QuickTime are examples of some of the things. And we have to ensure like whether plugins can contain programming flaws, such as a buffer flows kind of thing. Like when the data is traveling, so there are always chances that that information can be seen by some XYZ people. So it is our prime responsibility to see like whether it is suggested by these things. So whenever the cookies are to store temporary information, as we are known, so regularly we have to remove these cookies history and all those things in the browser. So I also will show you some of these kind of things. So HTTPS, some of the extensions like HTTPS is everywhere, and Sudan, which is a plugin that website is hosted, who can own the IP and all, ad block plus and netcraft. So these are the some extensions. So I also installed some of these things to show to you. So we will just see like what are those kind of things, right? So any browser, when I just opened this browser, so you can just see, you can just click on those three lines which are there. So there you have a lot many options are there. So one of the option is whenever you do tab, new window, new private window, so there is something called new private window. So this private window or incognito mode, in Mozilla it is called a private window, and in Chrome and all those things it is called as incognito mode. So whenever you are doing any such kind of things, so whenever you are doing any important transactions kind of thing like financial transactions or any important aspects, try to use this private window so that the data cannot be tracked. The data cannot be tracked by other ISP level, that can be tracked, but at least that data is not saved in the browser level. So like whatever you are doing, this data is not saved in your browser level. So that is the advantage of this private window kind of thing. And there are so many other options. You have downloads and all the things, and there is something called settings. So once you go to the settings, like you have privacy and security things, as I told you, like the extensions and the themes and add-on support, right? So these people are suggesting you some of the things where, like what are the things you can do, what are the things you can enable or disable kind of thing. So these are the some of the things like where I have installed. So these are the some of the suggestions which they have given, right? Enhance your YouTube and ghostly, I don't care, as the privacy. These are the some of the things. There are more add-ons which are suggested by those people, but by the browser. So if at all, if you want, like you have to ensure from here, not from the website kind of thing. So try to avoid that and try to download it from here, or try to add it from here, so that you can safeguard yourself, right? So other aspects, like we can always try to remove that history, right? So if you type that history, so you can always try to remove that history whenever it is possible. Try to remove that history, and as well as cookies also, right? You can just type that cookies, and you can disable, you can uninstall those cookies once in a week or once in 10 days kind of thing. You can just go there and you can try to remove those cookies, whatever it is already there, so that, like there are advantages, like the browser performance. At the same time, browser performance will increase. At the same time, like you also, if by any chance if it is something is saved, that also can be a remote kind of thing, right? Advantages are there, at the same time disadvantages are also there. See, for example, I have installed one this Netcraft. So if I want to find out, like whether my website is how far my website is a legitimate website, or if there are any issues kind of thing. So I just checking that. I just typed this infosecawareness.in website, and you can just open that Netscape navigator, and it will give you that information, like it is infosec awareness. It is a site report is there. You can just click and you can see all the things, like when it was done and where it was done. All such kind of things you will be getting, right? If it is any fraudulent kind of thing, it also will tell you, like the site is not it is not listed or something like that, right? So you can use this kind of thing. So wherever it is possible, you can try to use those extensions to safeguard your experience, and to safeguard from these issues kind of thing, right? Let's move on to this our main presentation. So these are the some of the extensions where you can use it to safeguard some of these aspects. And HTTPS is one of the extension, like where you can use it. It will ensure you that, like whether it is a HTTP or HTTPS, establish a secure connection up to that level. It is only an establishment. I was just talking about only an establishment thing. So these are the things which I have shown it to you, that the privacy settings, like what are the various privacy settings you can do it. So most of the time these things are on. So it is our responsibility. You just go there, and privacy and security under the settings, and you can just disable or for time being you can just disable not disable, like you can just enable and disable kind of thing, like whichever you want. Or here it is mentioned like it is a blocked kind of thing. So ensure that, like these are the things it is blocked. So without our knowledge, if something is there, something is got installed, any keylogger kind of thing, so it is always sends the kind of information. If you disable these options or block them, so that that kind of risk can be avoided, and that kind of risk can always be reduced. It is not that completely we can avoid. So as I told you, like it is a private window where you can access that private window. You can to browse some important aspects, and these are the some of the privacy and security options which you can always set it. That is a standard version, like you can just try these things on your browser. So it is all Windows driven kind of thing. Whoever is using those things, So try to keep all those things. Content blocking, turn off content blocking for this site, and you can enable, disable, or strictly some of these options are there. So you can always see that, and you can check that things. So one of the there are so many, but one of the privacy, if someone wanted to search some information and where they wanted to safeguard their privacy kind of thing, there is a browser called, most of the people know, DuckDuckGo. It is a privacy browser. Block all hidden third-party trackers kind of thing, and encryption protection, and don't collect or share any personal information. So that's the beauty of this browser. And if someone is involved in some important activity kind of thing, where you can use these browsers to use this browser to experience and to safeguard your privacy in the internet. And these are the some browser security things. So all these awareness posters are available on the website. I will just show you in a couple of minutes the website also, where you can access those things. And these are the some tips, like install required extension only. Don't install so many or unnecessary extensions, and review that installed extension regularly. So for updations, whether it is updated or not. Otherwise you have to remove that extensions kind of thing. Uninstall the unused extensions, and install only from the official store, as I told you. And check for the permissions required for extensions. If at all, if you are giving any permissions, that you have to check properly whether it is required or not to give that permission kind of thing. And enable automatic software updates if available, and install and use antivirus software. This is important. And for your personal devices also, nowadays it is available very low cost, like where you can purchase and do that. Or if you don't have any of these things, like you can just go to the our cyber Swachhata Kendra, go to the downloads, and there they have some bot removal tools and other tools are available. So you can download those things, and you can make use of those tools to safeguard your information as well as your device kind of thing. And keep browser up to date, which is very, very important. Whenever the updates are available, ensure that should be updated on regular intervals. And try to use that HTTPS. Everyone knows that. Disable auto complete for forms. So whenever you are trying to fill that information, and if by chance the pop-up, if it is saved your information kind of thing, so whenever you're doing that autofill option kind of thing, so try to disable all those autofill options kind of thing. And block pop-ups and ads, that option is available under the settings. So try to block those pop-ups and advertisements which comes in. So it will stop at the browser level, so that you won't face any inconvenience, or you won't face any issues kind of thing, right? So these are the some tips someone should take care while we are using these browsers. And of course, like I'm not touching upon these, like what is UPI kind of thing. So unified payment interface, like most of the people were using that. The service allows the user to link more than one bank account and a UPI app, and it is seamlessly, like it is become very popular because of the 24/7 into 365 days the service is available. So these are the modus of operandi. So once someone is trying to lure your money, hard-earned money, right? Fraudsters call the person or victim on the prevent of updating the KYC or Aadhaar or link, right? I don't like many of the people might have been received the, if at all, if you are having an SBI account, so you might be receiving that regular message stating that, like update your KYC, your account is blocked, your euro is blocked, update those things kind of thing. And before you open that, or before you click on that link, or before you copy that link kind of thing, so you have to see like who is the sender, like what is the sender ID, whether is it came from SBI or not. So if at all, if you are having that messages in your mobile phone, so see that, like so most of the things or came from either some mobile number or some short code kind of thing. So it is not came directly from these things. So that way, like you can identify that sender ID, and once you feel that like the sender ID is not proper, if you feel like it is an improper kind of thing, so try to remove that. Okay, never ever do that. So the reason why we are again and again is telling, so that like what is the awareness which you have got created. Of course, like you will be discussing with your family members, friends and all. So these kind of things should be discussed with the family members also. Otherwise, recently one of my friend family was, got cheated like this. We all know, like, because of the lockdown, so they have to attend the online classes. They have only one device, so one child is attending with the device. So other child, she is not once that her classes are over, this second child is attending the classes. So during that process, like, one fine evening, she got a message stating that, like, if you invest 17,000 rupees, you will be getting a laptop. And she tempted to that, and immediately she responded to that. She provided all the information, she made the 17,000 rupee payment and all the things. Immediately she got a call stating that, madam, you paid 17,000 rupees, if you pay another 15,000 rupees, you will be getting very high configuration system and all. So she paid that amount also. And again that fraudster sir called that lady and asking, madam, you paid that, but who will pay the GST and all? And again she paid that money, and finally she paid more than 95,000 rupees, and she realized that, so that is a fraudulent call. So this entire transaction is happened between 7:30 to 10:30 in the evening, right? So once you are receiving that kind of calls, like, that is our minimum thing, like, where someone should see, like, whether is it came from legitimate, or a sender ID, a legitimate sender ID or not. If it is not, we should avoid such kind of things. If at all, if you are trying to address or trying to provide such kind of information, there are always chances. So immediately in this case also, see, they will ask for the OTP. Once you provide the OTP, they will direct the money, and finally, that victim, whoever is providing this data, so he will be done. Yesterday, one of the politician was also got the same thing, right? Yesterday, being a holiday, so most of these things, like, which will happen beyond office hours or on holidays kind of thing. He was an MP. He was cheated for 97,000 rupees. That amount is very, very less, but he was got cheated. So that's the kind of thing which is happening. So whenever you are making any UPI payments, so check the name of the payee before you initiating any transactions. Know the difference between sending and receiving the UPI things, and remember that you will never have to enter a UPI pin to receive your money. So this is very, very important. So this kind of things, like the online platforms like OLX and such kind of platforms, they will be sending some kind of code, or they will be asking you to fill that details kind of thing. So if at all you wanted to sell the product and you have to receive the money, so that is a minimum a thing one should think of. Like, I have to receive money, why should I provide my MPIN or a MPIN or OTP kind of thing, right? It is not required, right? So if at all, if you are providing, that means they are taking your hard-earned money from your account, right? That is the thing which you have to see, that if at all, if you are receiving the money, there is no need of sharing your MPIN kind of thing. If at all, if you are making a payment, then there is, you have to provide your MPIN to materialize the transaction, right? So these are the simple tips one should follow when you are making these payments. Pay attention and carefully examine all the messages through all the communication channels from your bank, right? As we told, like, what is the sender ID? So once the money was got, debited, you have to check, like, you will be receiving that message. We have to check that message, like, whether the same money was got debited or any extra money was got debited. Then if something has happened, immediately you have to raise a complaint those people, right? And whenever you are trying to make any complaint, you have to keep all these evidences, keep all these screenshots, keep all the messages, keep all these things. And if you want to report for this financial loss kind of thing, you can always go to the cybercrime.go.in, where you can go and provide all these evidences, and you can make a report, and they will try to help you out. And they're also provided the toll-free number of 1930. So you can call at any point of time that 1930, and try to tell your issue, and they will try to help you out. And if it is any financial transactions, try to act immediately. If it is a credit card, you have a 48 hours time to report it, and to to do anything. And if it is any debit card transactions kind of thing, you have to report within 24 hours, but the chances are very, very slim. If it is a debit card, 99.99 chances you won't get your money unless you are highly influential, right? If it is a credit card fraud kind of thing, you have 48 hours time, because to settle that transaction, they will take 48 hours of time. So in the meantime, you can talk to you can complain at your bank, as well as you can complain at cybercrime.gov.in and 1930. So where they will try to help you out to safeguard or to recover that kind of money. If it is a credit card, you have 48 hours, debit card 24 hours, and chances are very slim whether it is a ATM or a debit card kind of thing. And if it is a credit card, like you have 48 hours, but you have to complete all the formalities so within that time. So if any fraud has happened, that way you have to check those things. And these are the some UPI safety tips one should follow. And there is no need of enter the UPI pin while receiving an amount, right? As I told you, never click on any link that you have received an email or from a fraudster text message. Download UPI from an official store like Google Store or App Store kind of thing. So try to see, like before downloading that, like some of the measures someone should take care, like who is the developer, whether it is a play protect kind of thing, and all such kind of things. And avoid clicking on unknown links or forwarding any suspicious SMS kind of thing, and never share your UPI MPIN with anyone, right? So these are the tips when you are making any things, right? Since we are running out of time, so let me stop it here and see like what are the various questions are there. So those things yeah, those things we will address those things. So before we'll move on, so let me show you this infosecawareness.in website is there. Here you have a whole lot of information, so visit that, and you have downloads, newsletter, draft information, advisories. Whenever it is something has happened, immediately we are releasing that for advisories kind of thing. And we also suggest you, there is something called join our 2-hour cyber hygiene practices course. So here you have a cyber hygiene practices course. I request all of you, try to register and complete this course. Of course, like I know like most of you are technical people, but if you want to find, if you want to study further more information in the cybersecurity domain, so I request you all, so kindly access this course. And if at all, if you are first time, if you are accessing, so there is a registration formality. You complete that registration formality and try to access that. As part of that course, like you have a whole lot of information. And at the same time, in the infosecawareness.in, there is a quiz module, infosecawareness.in/quiz. So you can just test your knowledge, how far we are there on various aspects. We are covered these quizzes, so you can access those quizzes and get your certificate, get your instant certificate over there. And if you have any suggestions, kindly intimate those suggestions, because these are all mighty institutions, you are all technological people. If you have any suggestions, kindly do let us know, so that we'll try to incorporate those suggestions and we will make it more user friendly to the benefit at national level, right? So let me see if there are, please discuss SOC, right? We're gonna check the latest regular things. If there are any, of course, like as I told you, like we are going to share with you that we are all, recording these things. And once if it is, once the session is over, like we will try to send it to all of you that recorded the recorded videos for further information. So in the meantime, like I'll just